Do you want the good news or do you want the bad news? I'm going to give you both. The good news, the Steelers are in the playoffs. The bad news, the Steelers suck. Over the last 4 weeks, the Steelers have lost crucial games to the four best teams in the NFL. A lot of people are now questioning Tomlin's supremacy as a head coach, and there are even trade talks regarding Mike Tomlin. I mean, let's be serious, Tomlin's not going anywhere, but just the fact that these conversations are being had is ridiculous. And all that goes to show how poorly the Steelers have played over the stretch of the last 4 games. Nevertheless, if we're going to put a positive spin to this, the Steelers are in the playoffs, and we're playing the Ravens, a team that we have gone 8-2 against over the course of the last 10 games we've played. A team we, for whatever reason, matched very, very well against. Am I saying I think we're gonna win? If I had to bet money on it, no. But at the same time, Steelers Nation should be happy that we're playing the Ravens as opposed to another team, because at the end of the day, a playoff team's a playoff team. Any one of these teams is dangerous, and the Steelers match up very, very well against the Ravens for whatever reason. The last encounter we had did not go well at all, but I know exactly why. And we're going to get into that. But first, I want to talk about the game against the Bengals. I wasn't able to cover that. I just went through a surgery and now I'm back. So be expecting a lot of content about the postseason and all that. But yeah, let's get right into the video. I'm going to try my best to break down the Steelers-Bengals game. If I'm being completely honest, I fell asleep towards the end of the third quarter. I was kind of listening in, but I kind of just had the 1,000-yard stare and decided to just sign off for the day. That was ugly. Very ugly. And I'll tell you why. Russ is a problem, for one. We brought him in as the starter, and immediately I knew that was a mistake. Most fans were happy though, given that, again, we were seeing touchdown passes, 400 plus passing yards, and high scoring games, all things that Steeler Nation has begged and pleaded to see. We saw it and we forgot how to act. We forget the fact that Russell Wilson's play was very, very superficial. It didn't have any substance behind it. And the second he went out and played for the best teams in the NFL, they proved why he's a fraud, why his play is fraudulent. There's people out there that are going to argue that it's the whole team, and I would agree. But I think that all falls under the fact that Russell Wilson has lost the locker room in a sense. We see different interactions like the one with George Pickens when he was being asked about Russ's statements regarding the interception. Yes, Russell Wilson got jammed and gave up on his route, but at the end of the day, Russ is the one throwing that ball. He should have seen that safety. Russell Wilson stated that him and Pickens had a miscommunication, and then when the reporter asked Pickens about it, he looked shocked. Russ said that? He asked twice. And when he confirmed that it was Russ that said that, he lifted up his ski mask and turned away, and he looked upset. If I had to guess, they had already talked about the play and come to an agreement as to what happened, and then Russ put out a different statement. I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating outside looking in, but there's also other interactions that I've seen Russ have with teams in the locker room, and the team just doesn't seem to rally behind them like they would a Justin Fields. We see one clip from Justin Fields and Russell Wilson laughing around and Najee and them having a good time, and we think, oh, everybody loves Russ. We forget that this guy is low-key a goofball. Let's not forget that. Like, he is playing bad. He is costing the team. He is making the poor decisions that they benched Fields for. We thought, oh, Fields is new. Fields is young. Let's bench him. Let him learn under a veteran that won't make the quote-unquote rookie mistakes. Fields wasn't really making these rookie mistakes. We just speculated that we leave him in long enough that he will. And given the difficulty of the remaining of the schedule, we're better off seeing what Russ has. After all, he was named the starter. But we're seeing what Russ is doing in these games and the decisions he's making, the turnovers he's causing, the reads he's seeing, and they're just not up to par with what we thought we would get from him. And as I mentioned, what further strengthens my theory with Pickens and Russ having some sort of disagreement is subconsciously Pickens had a terrible game. He couldn't catch the ball. Now, am I saying he went to try and sabotage Russell Wilson? Not at all. But I'm saying when you don't rally behind your quarterback and you don't appreciate him and you don't trust him, subconsciously you're not going to play your best ball. As a running back myself, I know running backs who have had the O-line dislike them for whatever reason, and they don't block the same. You need to have that team chemistry. I'm not saying anyone's sabotaging or playing bad intentionally, but team chemistry is important. It's been a known thing that matters for years now. And I think after after a couple of losses, a couple of turnovers, a couple of bad decisions, that chemistry completely declined. Nothing had substance. Everything was superficial. We won, we were good, but when we're bad, I'm not behind you. That's what's going on with the Steelers right now. It needs to change. The O-line isn't blocking for Russ the way they should, and they were blocking well for him in the last couple of games, the same way the receivers were playing their better ball earlier in the season, and now in late season, everything's just been falling apart. I'm not going to put everything on Russ because overall the whole team has declined over the course of these last couple of weeks. Do I think we blame Mike Tomlin for that? Not necessarily. I just think we played tough, high-quality opponents in a small time span with injured players, and that completely ruined the morale of the team. Finally, Steelers Nation and sports media are opening up to the reality that Justin Fields may have been the better option this whole time. And to that I say thank you, because I have been begging and pleading this whole time. Maybe not on camera, but that's actually what made me want to start this, was seeing how bad Russ played. I wanted to voice my opinions. So yes, thank you, Steelers Nation. Russ is not the answer. Fields is. Let's play the guy in the playoffs. Tomlin has said that he's not opposed to certain Fields packages. Fields said he's ready whenever he needs to go in. He said he wants to re-sign with the Steelers. So I'm hearing all good things. I think people are recognizing that this was a mistake on Tomlin's behalf, and we'll be better off for it in the long run. Maybe we'll be able to do something in the playoffs, but for next year, we draft a couple of weapons. We have our QB who's learned under Russ, like he said he has, and all of a sudden you're looking at a very dangerous team. Going on to the defense, despite the fact that they haven't played well these last couple of weeks, and they did allow some pretty easy drives at the beginning of the game, they held the top offense to under 20 points with a backup corner. That's pretty impressive. I understand it looked ugly, but they kind of did get the job done. When you hold the top offense to under 20 points, it should be in the game plan for the offense to be able to score over 20 and win that game. Defense did their part. When we look at Steelers postseason hopes, like I mentioned earlier, we're playing the Baltimore Ravens. And yes, they have a dominant run game, and Lamar's playing his best football of his career. And we did get blown out by them last time we faced off. But I think we have a fighting chance, and I'll tell you why. For one, the players that played in that game were just coming off injury, and the players that were playing had played two of the toughest teams in the NFL under the span of like 6-7 days. Us as fans, we don't really look at that, but that does take a toll on a player. I have played in 11 game spans before, twice in my playing career, and it's definitely difficult. So it's important to recognize the effect that these stretches have on players. When it comes to the injury report, the Steelers are looking relatively healthy. Dante Jackson said he's feeling slight discomfort in his back but expects to play. He was a full participant in practice this week, so that's good to see. With the Steelers well rested and fully healthy, three things need to change. For one, the team morale. For two, the quarterback play. And then for three, the run defense. The one game the Steelers have lost over the course of the last 9 encounters, the Steelers allowed 200 plus rushing yards to the Ravens total. In every other game I saw, the Steelers only allowed a little over 100. I understand that Derrick Henry is a factor now, but last time we played early in the season, it wasn't as much of a factor. We had found ways to limit him. I think it's crucial in this game, if the Steelers want a fighting chance to beat the Ravens, they need to be able to limit Derrick Henry and the run game. What was concerning was that everybody knew that Derrick Henry was the main focus for the Steelers defense. We need to stop the run. Let's force Lamar Jackson to pass. But they weren't able to stop the run, and then Lamar Jackson was dicing him up in the pass game because we had an injured corner. Two, actually. I think Dante Jackson and Joey Porter ended up coming out that game. So we were in really bad shape. I think this game with the defense healthy and refocused, everybody's re-energized, coming into the playoffs, I think the main focus is going to be stopping the run game and having a more effective offense. We need better quarterback play. We need Najee Harris to show up. Najee Harris, please show up. Jalen Warren needs to keep doing his thing. George Pickens needs to catch the ball. We need to be playing the ball that we've played most of the season. And I think if we do that, it'll be very, very similar to the way it went earlier this season. Close game, low scoring, hard smash mouth football. That's what it needs to be. Like I said, if I had money on it, I'd bet on the Ravens. But as a fan myself, I think the Steelers can win. And it's definitely possible. So let's stop with the hate. Let's stop overreacting. And let's just recognize the Steelers are in the playoffs, playing a very, very familiar opponent. And every single player has every right to be pissed off and fired up to win this game. They got their butt kicked last time. They're in the playoffs now, and they get to really stick it to them. So we'll see what they do. We'll see how they show up. If they're woken up, if they're not coming out flat, we'll see what they do. The Steelers need to start off with a scoring drive. That's something I'd love to see. I don't think they've done that all season. Like certain things like that show that the Steelers are showing some life. They come out, they're ready to hit. They're not just going to lay down, because that's what they did last time. That's what they've done these last 4 games. Let's see. What's it going to be? Steelers 27, Ravens 21. Steelers won. Let's see. I hope I'm right. I hope. Let's just hope the Steelers come away with a win. That was my take. My name's Luke Koenig. This is Ball Knows All. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.